Welcome back to Celtic State of Mind. Celtic 2, Aston Villa 4. Tough end to the match there. I think up to that point we were doing pretty well. Sean, on balance, probably a fair result. I think Aston Villa throughout the game showed their quality. Had they taken all their chances, I think it could have been a real heavy defeat tonight. On reflection, I think actually we've just about kept an element of respectability there. I think we played okay for large parts of that match. For me, what it does highlight is that there are areas of the pitch where we need better quality and better depth. I think there are areas of the pitch which are maybe starting to be exposed at this level as well, which we can come on to. But I think there's certainly some positives to take from tonight as well. Not least the performance of Aramida, and possibly some of the other players tonight. I think Kuhn was quite influential at times. I think Rio Hatate had a decent game. Engels had moments which were great, although some not so great, which we'll talk about as well. How would you summarise the overall performance?
I think we competed, which is a positive. This is a top team in the self-proclaimed best league in the world, and hostile crowd, referee giving a lot of soft decisions for the home team. So to compete in those circumstances is good. We were missing Carter Vickers, Kyogo was gone, Maeda was suspended. So there was a lot of things working against us. That said, I still think even though we competed in spells, I thought we were very poor in spells as well. I thought McGregor just let the game go past him, from the start, right to he got in the ball in the last 10 minutes, but by that point the game was gone. Aston Villa were just in a holding pattern. We mentioned before the game that the issue was not the starting 11 in a sense, but who's backing up Ida, and it was Cummings who comes off the bench and plays the last 15 minutes and literally doesn't touch the ball, not once. So Dane Murray comes off the bench as well for Scales, who also didn't have a great game. Now I'm not going to make sweeping statements like Scales has been found out at this level. The guy's got 2 Champions League man of the matches under his belt for past performances, but he was poor tonight, particularly at the second goal. So Dane Murray comes on. That's, again, this guy was playing for Queen's Park a couple of weeks ago, and the fourth goal is directly his fault. Hopefully, he doesn't destroy his career, but that was not ideal, I would say. But yeah, that was the poor side of things. On the plus side, you're right. Hatate was probably the best on the pitch for us. Ida as well was great. He was really great, actually. He would have been competing. If we won 2-1, you'd probably be saying he's man in the match. And I actually thought Engels had a good game. I thought he actually had to do a lot of work covering for McGregor, who was just ball watching. So I'm not going to actually criticise Engels. I thought he had a good game.
Yeah, I think when I mentioned Engels earlier, the one negative to his game, and it was actually something he shared with Scales, as for the Aston Villa goal. I think the third goal, Kev, we have about 3 or 4 opportunities to get the ball away. We were kind of muscled off by 2 players. McGinn playing really, really well, and then I think it was I can't remember if it was Murray that then holds off Engels. I mean, look, it's one of those moments that you think if you just do one thing differently, you prevent that goal from going in. But ultimately, I think there were other chances for Villa that we didn't, that we were fortunate to get away with. I wouldn't criticise young Dane Murray too much. A big occasion for him to come in. I'm not sure I agreed with the changes when they were made. I thought we were still very much competing in the game when the changes were made. How did you read the game overall, Kev, first of all? Is there anything you'd point to that we could have or should have done differently to try and keep us in that?
I think as an overall assessment, I'm fairly much in agreement, actually, again, with Sean and his overview of the game. I think we did well to compete. As we'd said at half-time, it was a horror opening first 5 minutes, and it was a game that we could have crumbled in quite easily, and it could have been another Dortmund that we were facing tonight. But I thought the team showed a lot of character and resilience and all those positive words to come back and gain a foothold in the game during that first half, and not just get a foothold and showing that we were making signs to come back in it. We actually got 2 goals and we got ourselves level at half time, and the momentum of the game was swinging in our favour. But we were up against a good team, and time and again, Villa were able just to pick us off. So it was every time they were winning the ball in the transitions, it was just so quick to get forward. As I said before, the front four's got a lot of pace. They're kind of quite powerful and direct in the way that they play. And we were playing such a high line that we were giving them so much chance to get in behind, and their intricate passing was pretty good as well. So, that's just the level of quality opposition we were up against. To combat that, we had to do the Atalanta type defending, which would be a bit deeper, be more compact, and be switched on. Unfortunately for young Dane, he was not switched on at the end, and it's a horrible goal for him to give away. But he knows it, because you see his reaction. As soon as the ball hits the back of the net, he's down punched in the ground, like he knows he's messed up with that one. So hopefully it's not something that really sticks in his head and he's able to get over it quite quickly. For that third goal that you're on about, before Engels is out-muscled by, I think it's McGinn. I don't really put much fault on him for that. That happens. McGinn's a strong player, and he's got the best arse in football. That he muscles people off the ball with that. For me, more of the fault in that goal comes from the fact that you've got Liam Scales halfway inside the Aston Villa half trying to close somebody
Fair
down.
observation. Yep.
So as soon as he's bypassed, then I think Engels does well to try and get back. He's unfortunately just out-muscled, but then Trusty's left on a 2-on-1. So there's these elements of the game that, that's an avoidable goal if you don't have your centre-back playing halfway inside the opponent's half at that point. He needs to drop back. So there's things like that that we can learn from. I think we can look back at all the goals, and there probably will be areas that we can learn from. But up until the very last minute, and they get that fourth goal, that's what puts us on such a downer coming on here. It's a sucker punch of a goal to lose. If it finishes 3-2, we can come in here, and it is one where you kind of have your heads held a wee bit higher. Villa had chances; they could have scored 6 or 7. Kasper Schmeichel's had a really good game. He's made some good saves. Defensively, we were slack at times, but we've shown character. We've shown that we can compete at this level. For a period of time, we just need to get those bodies in the door that, as Paul John talks about, the Champions League quality players, get them in the door. Tierney, Jota, hopefully a start to that. And we've got the basis of a team that hopefully can start to prove that this is the competition, the European competition that we deserve to be playing in.
Yeah, I think you make some cracking points there, and I think there's a ton of positives to take from tonight. I mean, outside of, say, the opening 5 minutes, which were a bit of a nightmare watch, but that can happen. We know that if you're not on it right from minute one in this competition, you'll get punished. But there's a lot of factors to take into consideration. Our number one centre back by some margin out tonight. We know we're lacking a bit of quality depth in the in the wing areas. I think at times there are we saw it coming off the bench. There are times where we don't have the strength and depth to look to. I mean, Adam Ida, I thought, had a great game tonight. You look to give him some get him off, give him some relief, and you're bringing on a young player like Cummings. Looks like he'll have a great future. Wish him all the best. Hopefully it'll be with us, but he's not really someone you have the confidence in it's going to come and win a game at this point in his career. No disrespect to the young boy. Hopefully he gets to that point. So I think there are factors which influenced the game tonight. We've brought Jota, make sure I pronounce that right tonight. We've got Jota coming in, which is fantastic. I think he's only going to make us better. And I think we do need strengthened on that left-hand side. So, that'll be great to come in. But look, I think the key point you made there, Kev, which I think is a great one, at 3-2, if that game had finished 3-2, I think you'd have looked at that and said, that's a good performance. Given that, we're already through, what we were looking for tonight was a demonstration or evidence that we can really compete at this level. And I think up to that point, we showed that. I think we showed that. I mean, Sean, individual mistakes will cost you at this level, but this is a level that we want to compete at. So players we're going to bring in, we should be targeting at this level as much as within our financial capability. what areas would you like to see us improving following the performance tonight? I mean, what do we need to give us the best possible chance going into the playoff game?
It's a very broad question, and obviously the biggest issue tonight was the depth.
I always give you broad questions, Sean. We should know that by now.
I thought Greg Taylor did well enough, so I think he maybe showed that he's worth staying and buying Tierney. But yeah, the left wing, there was not much going on there. Yeah, Yang's involved in the first goal, but not much more other than drawing the fullback and playing a square pass. And to be fair, so I think that's the main area, and obviously can't just operate with one striker. I want Daniel Cummins to get his chance, but it shouldn't be away to Aston Villa in the Champions League. You know, it should be home to Dundee, home versus Motherwell. That's when he should be getting his chance. It's not where we should be at right now. It's good that either showed his value. That was a good thing. 2 great goals, especially the first goal. The first goal was particularly excellent finish. Obviously Taylor breaks on the left, gets all that space. Hatate's ball around the corner is excellent. And then there's a little bit of deflection, and Ida reacts excellently. It's to volley it in from basically head height. And then again, our second goal, great 1-2 between Engels and Hatate. Great square ball from Hatate, and again, good finish from Ida. So we definitely showed quality in attack at times, but what showed was a lack of depth. You know, those players we talked about already coming off the bench really hamstrung us. You know, and you're competing against some really great players there, so you need to also have great players. And I wonder if we said before the game, if like letting Baye go and letting Kyogo go and saying to not risk CCV was almost just saying, well, this is our ceiling. We're expecting to lose tonight, but we'll come and we'll give it a fair crack. And that feels like the way it played out. And I wonder if they are looking. I mean, I wonder if they had an eye on the next rounds, given that we're already there. But now we're playing, based on that result, we're playing Real Madrid or Bayern Munich in the next round. Whereas if we got a draw, it could have been PSV in the next round. So I do wonder about that decision. We'll probably look back on Brugge and Zagreb as missed opportunities, but still, it's. I mean, I think if I'm not wrong, Zagreb went out on 11 points. So, you know, we were all talking about 11 points. 10 points probably being enough, and 11 points definitely being enough. Well, it seems like it wasn't enough for everyone. Maybe it was just one of those, that 1% game that we were talking. The Opta stats computers were talking about. So yeah, teams went out in 11 points. So you know, the broader picture, we've done well overall in 8 games. Concerning lack of depth at this point in January, and hopefully see a lot of movement in the next couple of days.
Absolutely. I mean, Kev, I think Sean makes a really good point there. We really have to recognise what we've achieved in Europe this season. As we see, Zagreb, you know, from what Sean's saying, out on 11 points. You know, for us to be through before we kick the ball tonight, that's some achievement. I mean, Brendan and the team do deserve a lot of credit. With that said, this shouldn't be the ceiling. You know, we should now be thinking, okay, we've got to this point. We have to do that, 1, consistently, but 2, okay, we might come up against a Real Madrid or a Bayern Munich, whoever it might be. Oh, let's give ourselves a bit of a chance. Let's do some business in the next 24, 48 hours, whatever it may be. And, you know, let's carry that sense of belief that putting ourselves in this position has given us. We do deserve to be at this level. I said that at half time, but we absolutely do deserve to be at this level. I didn't see anything tonight to change my opinion on that. I think what we did see is the quality of opposition that we're likely to face over not just this season, but the coming seasons. But that's the level that we've got to be prepared to come up against, right?
You want to play in the Premier Tournament, then you've got to be prepared to play against the big boys. So, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I think if you look at this campaign as a whole in Europe, like you said, coming into the final group game or the final league game, having already achieved your target of making the playoffs, is a fantastic achievement. We can look and say that maybe the draw of games that we got were favourable. You know, we had some very winnable games in that, and I'll probably include the games against Brugge and Zagreb because I think they were winnable games for us. Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't. We drew, but there may be the kind of games in the past we might have lost because we just weren't street smart enough at the level. Or we just weren't good enough, to be fair. So this season, I think we've made big improvements, big steps forward. We've got to look at these 8 games and be very proud of it. You know, there's 2 defeats in there, one an absolute scudding, and one a game against a Premiership side where we probably expected to lose, but we gave them a right good 90 minutes, and it's only at the end of the game that the scoreline becomes pretty bad. You know, losing 4 goals is bad, but it's an error from a young player. It's not reflective of the actual performance of the game. So I think there's a lot that we can take from the campaign as being very positive, and we're building it. As for our ceiling, I think the playoffs is our ceiling at the moment, and I don't think that's something that we should be disappointed with, because we're looking at how we've kind of underperformed in Europe for the last 2 decades. Really, since Seville, we've never really made any sort of impact in Europe. So for us to now be at a point where we couldn't qualify from a Champions League group, we were struggling to do anything in Europa League groups, to be one of the top 24 sides in Europe, that's a great achievement. That we're going to come up against a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, unfortunately, I think that's going to be the end of the journey for us, if we're being honest about it, and it doesn't really matter who we're able to bring in January. But like I say, the goal of this season's European campaign has been achieved. So now you look to improve as much as you can in the next 3 or 4 days, kind of knowing it's probably not going to have an influence in this season, but it might for next season, because we're probably not going to get the same favourable draw if we get back into the league stage. So we're going to have to be a better team next season. And that's what this window's about now, the next few days. It's what the summer's about. And then we reassess next year and we go, what's the ceiling for that season? Is it playoffs again? And again, if so, that's just being consistent. It shows that this season's not a one-off. So just look at it, be positive. We've had a great run. If it's Bayern or Real, you know, chances are we're going out, but we'll give them a game at Celtic Park anyway. I think that's something we can say. You know, we'll have two good games against them, and we'll give it a go. But we can look back in the campaign as a whole and be fairly positive about it.
Just so I'm clear, Kev, you're saying you don't think we can beat Bayern Munich or Real Madrid? Such negativity. Come on.
I know, and I should get kicked off the pod for that.
Terrible, absolutely. I'm keen to bring up some of your comments here. Barry O'Sullivan comes in, so proud of the boys, and considering who's still to come back in at the team, great squad performance. I completely echo that. I think, you know, for large parts of that game, it's difficult as a Celtic fan when you're watching it live. You tend to, and particularly when you're having to come on here afterwards, you tend to try and be analytical and objective, but it's very, very difficult. But I think watching that back, we'll realise how cracking a game that was. And I really did think it was a good game and a good performance overall. Pete comes in, says, I'll never accept Jang and Palma in a Celtic team. Never play 4-4-2 Rodgers. Arrogance from the manager that his 4-3-3 is the only system. I think we have discussed, you know, the possibility or the potential for mixing it up and reacting to certain fixtures or conditions. But ultimately, look, again, as we said, manager's got us here, so you know, I think he's earned the right to for a little bit of trust. But you know, I like everyone else would like to see him mix it up on occasion. Ian Corbett comes in. Engels should have been stronger or just foul the player at the third goal. Always easy to say in hindsight. I think at the time I felt the same. I echo Kev's comments about Scales' positioning and also Sean's about Callum McGregor being caught out of position there as well. I think it's just a combination of factors, Ian, that unfortunately didn't work in our favour.
Callum McGregor's not out of position. He's too rigid to his position. Scales comes out of position and McGregor should be covering that. So, and he did it consistently throughout the game. Like the first Aston Villa goal, Rodgers is just running free in the box because McGregor's just holding his position and he's like 4 yards away for the guy instead of on him tracking the run. He did it consistently throughout the game, and that's why Rodgers just dominated us in the first half hour and then picked it back up again later. McGregor was just had it in his head, this is my spot and I'm staying here, and wasn't reactive enough throughout the game.
Yeah. There's been a couple of occasions this season where Callum's found himself on the end of criticism, got some very well-deserved praise for the last game. I think one of his best performances I've seen in Europe this season. We know what he's like when he's at his best, but he's looked vulnerable at times. In Europe in particular, some of the bigger domestic games this season, Sean, do we need a different option in that holding role? A Neil Lennon-esque player, or someone that's got a little bit of aggression, or that ability to break up the play, do the simple things. Maybe someone that's doesn't have to be have the maximum amount of flair or technical ability, but has got that football brain. Is that an area we need to look at?
I think the game has moved on a bit from the Neil Lennon time. Obviously, he was great, and so is Callum McGregor against many teams. But I think for games like this, we probably need someone with more strength and pace. And with Callum McGregor's ability to read the game, which he does very well at times, but like just he lacks the physicality and adaptability for nights like tonight. We could do with a Wanyama is what I'm thinking. Not Wanyama himself, because he's a bit older now, but like the 22-year-old version of Wanyama, the N'Golo Kante. If we can crack that, if the scouting team can find one of those, I think that'd be a big asset for away games in Europe.
Absolutely. Yep, no, I agree with that. I'm going to bring in a couple of additional comments. I like this one from Personal Jesus, like the username as well. A very Celtic ending to a campaign, but overall was a good one. And I think that's important. That's a big picture, is that this has been a very, very good campaign. Paul McLean comes in, always learning, I hope. You do hope, but I think, we have shown the ability to adapt. Look at how we played against Atalanta. Look at our reaction today to going 2 goals down in the first half. The mentality, the resilience actually came to the forefront, and we've not always been able to say that. So I thought that was great. Solsland, I think the username is there. Very disappointing result and leaves us with one of the hardest playoffs, as Sean said. I hope that this encourages the board to pull out the stops to get Tierney in this window for the playoff. Possibly there's still time, and we would certainly improve on our depth there. And Magnet67 comes in, hate losing, but I feared that could have been a lot worse. We didn't have the strength of depth on the bench in the latter stages, something we've spoken about. On to Motherwell this weekend. Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, I think there's a lot of positives to take from the performance tonight, Kevin. Looking at individuals from a positive standpoint, who really stood out for you tonight in a Celtic shirt?
Yeah, excuse me. For me, the three would be, I thought Engels had a good game. Kaki and Ida are the three that really stood out for me. I don't think there'll be too many people objecting to those three as kind of the standards. And obviously Schmeichel as well, to be fair.
I was going to pull you up on that. I was going to say
he's made 4 or 5 really good saves. But no, I was just going to say that he's made 4 or 5 really good saves, but his passing out was shocking. And one of his great saves he makes because he's given it away. That pass, which I'm presuming would be for Callum McGregor because he was the closest Celtic player to him. But terrible passing. But yeah, as shot stopping, I think Schmeichel's one of the best going. He is the solid base at the back of that defence that gives you confidence. So we were giving chances away tonight, but unlike in Dortmund, it never felt like a game that was going to get away from us that way because Schmeichel was on it. He was making the saves, and over the course of the season, that's what you need. I think there was a stat he's made something like 87% saves in the Premiership this season. So, that's a ridiculous stat. So I thought he was really good tonight. I did think Engels had a good game. I thought he was giving us that bit of kind of athleticism in the midfield. I thought his assist or pre-assist for the second goal was just fantastic. And I thought there was a spell in the game where I thought he was really rising to it and showing that this is a level that he deserves to be at. He couldn't quite make it for the full game or the full time he was on the pitch, but there was enough there to say that for me, he had a good performance. And then it's similar analysis, I suppose, for Rio. He's involved in both the goals. Again, the pre-assist for the first goal, giving it to Taylor. It's a great kind of good vision round the corner into the space where Taylor's moving. And the second goal, again, great movement, lovely little ball across for Ida. And there was moments again in the game, just when he was getting the ball, he was shielding it well, he was controlling it, and he was keeping the ball. I don't think he gave the ball away too often tonight because that's normally the complaint and the criticism that we have of Rio, that he gives it away, that he was doing too much of the risk and reward type of football. I thought today he actually kept it safe most of the times, or was playing, the sensible pass. So, and Ida, of course, 2 goals, but 2 goals from 2 clear chances, really. Because I think he maybe had 1 effort in the second half, which was a half chance at best. But he's 2 chances in front of goal at this level. He's taken them, as Sean says, it's 3 Champions League goals this season, the first since Larsson probably to have achieved that. So that should be a great confidence boost for him. And again, he's proven that in these type of games, at least, he's capable of stepping up and being the Celtic number 9. We now just need to work through this transfer window period to get him in a decent backup, because
Absolutely.
we can't be going to somebody like Cummings, who by all accounts is a very talented young player, but I don't think we should be putting the weight of responsibility on his shoulders at this stage to be the backup striker to Adam Ida. So we need someone else coming in there. Hopefully we get someone in the next few days. Otherwise, Ida or Maeda is probably the centre forward options for the rest of the season. Mixed emotions about that one, mixed thoughts about
that. No, absolutely. I mean, look, we've added, some proven quality in Jota, and I think a player like Ida is only going to benefit from that. There is good service coming from the right hand side. I don't think we're getting quite the same service coming from the left hand side at this point, particularly with Maeda out. So you're looking for Jota to step up and maybe provide those chances for a player like Ida to go and maybe establish himself as that first choice striker. He's got the opportunity, 2 goals tonight, and he's taken a lot of momentum into the weekend. Sean, similar sort of question to you, but just going to flip it on its head. There were a few players come in tonight. I think we can give the youngsters a pass tonight just by virtue of the occasion and being brought in under those circumstances. But is there anyone tonight, and I think you know who I'm going to be referring to, but is there anyone tonight you think their time is up now at Celtic and we need to improve on the quality?
I assume you're talking about Yang or Palma.
Maybe.
Yeah, look, neither of those guys really offered anything. I will say we dropped when Palma came on, because at least Yang offered a lot more movement, offered a bit more defensively than Palma does. I don't know if did Palma even touch the ball. I don't remember him touching it, to be honest.
I can't honestly remember, to be fair. I can't remember any specific touches.
Yeah. McCowan looked decent when he came on. Bernardo was okay. I think midfield is definitely the strongest point, but we could definitely do with someone stronger and more physical in there, because that was where we could beat tonight. In a sense, the Aston Villa midfield were just really physical, fast and strong, and we were talking about Engels not fouling that guy or not being able to win it off. It's not that easy. They get the guys a unit. Do you know what I mean? He's a bigger unit, and Scale stepping up to challenge Rodgers. Again, on a Sunday against Dundee, no problem, you win that. But these guys are just big and physical. This was the chat when Engels came in, was that we needed players with that bigger size, and apparently he's not even at that level. I guess if he was, in terms of physicality, sorry, and I guess if he was, he'd be signing for Aston Villa instead of signing for us. Because I think, if I'm reading this right, Aston Villa paid something like 8 million for Rodgers from Middlesbrough, but which is not to say we could have signed him, because he's always going to go to Aston Villa ahead of us. But it's not. We don't need to pay necessarily 11 million to get someone that's that good. We just need to get them at the right time before they get picked off by a bigger team.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. I think physicality is something that a lot of people in the comments are talking about. The fact that we're kind of, at times we may have been kind of bullied to an extent. Let me see. Yep. So I'm not even going to attempt to that username for fear of getting it wrong. So apologies. But Noleg McCraman, would that be right? I apologise if I've completely butchered that. But the point is good. We seem physically weaker, bullied in a lot of engagements. Boheed Bob comes in, would love us to buy a central defensive midfielder. I kind of agree with that. I think that's the point we're making. Slabbering Cabbage comes in, needs to strengthen before the close of this window. I think that's a fair point as well. However, I do like the optimism coming in. Sean Fairley, this performance gives me confidence that we can really compete in the knockout round. I mean, I think we can certainly have a go. It will depend on the opposition and how we play on the day, but on our day, I would back us to beat anyone at Celtic Park. Davy Cooper comes in and says at full strength we would have run them close. David Boyle, good point. I'd be taking that Celtic team to the boxing club for pre-season to get toughened up. Maybe that's an option. Bit of sport for you there, Sean. Magnet67, Sean is right. We can beat it against a team who are one of the better teams in the self-titled best league in the world. Onwards and upwards of good guys. Hail, hail. And I think that is a great comment to finish on. And I think it's a pertinent point, right? This is Aston Villa, I believe, Sean, have hit top 8 with the result tonight. And the results
yes, they've finished.
So
exactly.
So they're one of the top 8 teams in the competition. And for large parts of the game tonight, albeit a shaky start, we ran them close. So lots of positives to take tonight, lots of positives to take into the game at Motherwell, the game against Motherwell at the weekend. The Celtic state of mind will be there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. We're over 2,600 strong on the live feed. Lots and lots of comments coming in. Sorry we couldn't get through them all. Big thanks to Sean Conley and Kevin McCluskey as always. I'm sure the guys will be back for matchday coverage the weekend. I'll probably be roped into that one as well, so I'll try and stay off until then and give people a break because I've seen far too much of me this week. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Wasn't the result we wanted, but I think lots of positive to take. Let's go into the next game. Hail, hail.
Well.